AITA for not including my son's adopted child in my will.
My wife and I are in our 60s. We are thinking of retiring soon and we are trying to get our finances and everything we own in order. For example, we're finally selling our old house because it's too big and we don't need it. We want to live in a quieter place and a smaller house. We have 3 kids, all adults by now. Each of our kids have their own kids as well. We have a daughter with 1 kid, a son with 2 and another son with 2 biological kids and a stepdaughter. Our youngest son was married. About 10 or so years ago he cheated on his wife and they got divorced. He cheated with his current wife. Then he adopted her daughter. We want to divide our estate between our children and our grandchildren. We had a family gathering to talk about some of these things, especially the house in case any of our children wanted to buy it themselves. Our son got very angry when he heard that we're cutting off his adopted child from the will. We told him she's not our family and we don't support his life choices and how he ruined his family. He told us to stop holding a grudge for something that happened years ago and accept the child, or cut him and his family off. My wife and I think that his new wife and the child are living proof of him ruining his family. Do you think we are wrong in this? She is a child and he's right that she's his. But does that automatically makes her our family? He said we're treating his wife and daughter poorly and we're acting like assholes towards a kid. The stepdaughter and the adopted daughter are the same girl. My son married her mother and then adopted her. Questions. The girl was 1 or 2 years old when my son and his mother started their relationship. We don't see or talk to each other often, only in family gatherings. They live in another state. She doesn't call us her grandparents. What each of our kids is getting are family heirlooms and not money. All the money will be distributed between our grandkids in our will to hopefully help them get their education paid. My son doesn't have contact with his ex-wife or his biological kids. He cut them off and didn't even want to pay child support. My wife and I helped our daughter-in-law and our grandchildren. To make it clear, what my son is getting from us is some photos and items from his childhood that we keep. It's essentially trash, but we like to look at them every once in a while to remember our kids' childhoods. He isn't getting money or jewelry. I'm getting a lot of comments. Sorry if I can't answer all the questions. For those who wonder if the girl could actually be biologically my son's daughter, I don't know and it doesn't make a difference to me or my wife. For those who say that love should be unconditional, I disagree. Love is always conditional to the bare minimum to maintain a bond. That's my opinion.
AITA for not telling my dad's guests that I marinated the chicken with milk.
It was my 18 meters, dad, 43's birthday. He wanted me to cook for him and some friends. And I said yes. Met some of them before. One of his friends is also my GF. 18's dad. I did what my mom taught me. Use milk to make the chicken tender. A couple of them were surprised that I managed to cook roasted chicken well. I told them, thanks. I just marinated with milk to make it tender, and one of them panicked. Turns out he has milk allergy and gets digestive issues. My dad started berating me, saying I should have told them ahead of time that I was using milk to check if anyone is allergic. That it was careless of me not to check first when milk is a common allergy. Update. Talk to the guy about it. I told him I'm sorry I didn't ask first and he said it's his fault for not telling me. He then assured that he didn't get any reaction, and that milk only makes him gassy. He said it's actually him being lactose intolerant but that he sometimes say allergy instead.
AITA for telling my husband our son was gay.
I, 32F, caught my son, 15M, cuddling with his friend, 15M, while they were sleeping in their room. I decided not to wake them up and I discussed it with my husband, 34M, and the possibility that our son might be gay came up. While I initially agreed with my husband's suggestion to approach our son when his friend leave, I late decided that we should just wait until our son was comfortable sharing this with us. My husband agreed, saying what if he never tell us that he's gay? I told my husband that if he doesn't tell us that he's gay then he's probably not. I told him that we should just let our son know that we'll love him regardless and leave it at that. However, my husband went against our agreement and questioned our son about his sexual orientation while I was driving my son's friend home. When I returned home, I discovered my son in tears, yelling and accusing me of outing him. I was confused and told my son that I didn't know what he was talking about. My son told me while he was crying that his father revealed what I saw and basically coerced him into coming out before he was ready. My son asked me why would I tell his father and why would I enter his room without his permission. I started crying and told my son that I was sorry and that I loved him and accept him no matter what. My son remained distant and now refusing to speak to me and his father. When I confronted my husband I told him that I was angry that he threw me under the bus. He claimed he didn't mean any harm, only shared what I mentioned to our son hoping it'll make him comfortable about coming out to us. Despite his pleas for forgiveness, I can't help but feel anger towards him knowing my son is now feeling hatred for me of something that I actively tried to prevent. My husband argues that blaming him for our son's emotions is unfair, and told me our son is only going through an emotional phase that will pass. Despite him begging for my son and my forgiveness, telling us that he meant no harm, I'm torn between forgiving him because I blame him for causing our son to be angry with me. ETA, I entered my son's room because I was doing laundry and planning on washing my son's clothes. I did knock to see if they were awake and waited for a response. And when I got no response, I entered. I only usually do this when I plan on washing clothes as I like to do it early in the morning. I've been doing this since my son was 12, and he told me he didn't mind it because he would wake up with clean clothes. When I saw my son and his friend cuddling, I immediately walked out of his room and shut the door. I was thinking straight and should have waited for his friend to leave. Sorry for not mentioning this before.
AITA for not letting my niece be the flower girl at my wedding.
25F. I'm getting married next month. My brother and SIL have a 5-year-old daughter, Emma. They assumed Emma would automatically be the flower girl in my wedding. The issue is THTA I have asked my best friend's daughter Hannah, 6F, to be the flower girl instead. Hannah's mom is my maid of honor and she is like family to me. When I told my brother and SIL that Hannah will be the flower girl, they got really upset. They said I'm choosing friends over family and breaking their little girl's heart by not giving her this special role. I tried to explain that I've known Hannah her whole life too and it's a sweet full circle moment to have her in the wedding. We have a very sepsial connection that I don't have like this with Emma. Even though I love Emma too, but my brother said I'm a selfish aunt and setting a bad precedent in our family. Now they don't want Emma involved at all. My parents think I should have just let both girls be flower girls to keep the peace. Which I thought was a cool idea and I initially didn't think of that. When I told my brother and SIL that this would be great, they declined and said they don't want her to do it anymore at all.
AITA for telling my sister if she can't handle seeing our parents at my wedding she shouldn't show up.
My sister, 29, was a nightmare growing up. That is a fact and my parents did not handle her well. She was 16 when they gave up and sent her to a camp. It was horrible for her. The moment she was 18 she left and was on her own. She hasn't been in contact with them since. A few years ago we got back into contact and she is much better. In a much better place and we have been slowly reconnecting. I am engaged and my wedding is this year. I sent her an invite and she gave me a call. She asked if our parents will be there and I told her yes. This is where we got in an argument. She wants me to not invite them or she won't show that they were horrible to her and how dare I invite them. My argument was they have treated me well and it's not my fault they sent her away. Also she was pretty feral as a kid but I don't hold that against her. We went on for a while but in the end I told her if she can't handle seeing our parents to not come. She hung up and thinks I am being a jerk. Edit. Since this has been asked multiple times. Yay, my parents tried therapy. My brother is no contact with her due with the extreme bullying she put him through as kids. The camp was a minor reform camp. Also another point, when she was sent away obviously my parent don't know these camps were awful. They were advertised to helping kid. A safe place to help kids when parents can't figure it out. Good chance your question has been answered in one of my comments. Also please answer the AITA question.